It is Wednesday 23. Good morning, Trinidad and Tobago. This is news to 6 a.m. on News Power Digital. The Board of Directors of Telecommunication Services of Trinidad and Tobago, TSTT Limited, has appointed Ken Weston to the post of acting CEO following the departure of Lisa Agard. TSTT said in a memorandum, Mr. Weston's appointment will take place immediately. It said the board welcomes and congratulated Mr. Weston on his appointment and wished him every success in his new role. The development comes in the heat of the recent cyber attack at the state-owned entity. TSTT said Mr. Weston is the holder of an MBA in Innovation and Entrepreneurship from the Anglia-Ruskin University and an MBA in Telecom and Telecoms Academy in the United Kingdom and a postgraduate certificate in General Management. Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley's left for Saudi Arabia on Tuesday, where he's scheduled to attend the CARICOM Saudi Arabia Summit in Riyadh, Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Leaders are scheduled to participate in focused, in-depth, and active engagement on issues of mutual importance at the bilateral, interregional, global levels. The summit will be co-chaired by His Royal Highness Prince Mohammed bin Salman bin Abdulaziz Al Saud, Crown Prince and Prime Minister of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and Chairman of CARICOM, Roosevelt Skerrit, Prime Minister of Dominica. The event will also include the participation of heads of state and governments of CARICOM, along with CARICOM Secretary General. The event will also include participation of Foreign and CARICOM Affairs Minister Dr. Amy Brown, Minister of Energy and Energy Industries Stuart Young, and Minister of Agriculture, Land and Fisheries Kazim Hossein. Finance Minister Colm Imber is acting Prime Minister until Dr. Rowley's return. Trinidad and Tobago's murder total has crossed the gruesome 500 mark to 502 over the Diwali long weekend, with the shooting death of Kevon Moses, also known as Keston Monroe, and B. The corresponding toll around that time last year was 534. Police said Moses of Calvary Hill East, Port of Spain, had been detained last Friday by the Port of Spain Gang Intelligence Unit as a suspect in the November 7th murder of Darrell Buku, 36, who was shot and killed in his yard at Simon Valley, St. Anne's. Police said he was being interrogated about the incident, but sometime on Monday, two attorneys representing the interests of Moses arrived at the Belmont police station armed with a writ of habeas corpus, which they served on police on duty at the station. As a result, he was released around 6 p.m. Just prior to walking out, he was offered lift to his home by the police, but he refused. As he walked out, he was approached by a man armed with an AR-15 assault rifle from the station's visitor car park. The man opened fire, hitting him multiple times about the body, and he fell to the ground while the man sped off. Meanwhile, Commissioner of Police Earl Herwood Christopher says the killing of the man is wholly unacceptable. Added, this is another unfortunate example of the desperate and brazen attack by the criminal elements in the country. 60 persons will today be beneficiaries of starter homes provided by the Housing and Village Improvement Program. Families residing within San Juan Laventil, Tunapuna Piaco, San Grande, Couva, Tabaqui Talparo, Mayaro, Rio Claro, Princess Town, San Fernando, Pinal de Bay, and Suparian Point Fortin are carded to receive their homes keys. The HIIP is geared toward improving housing and living conditions of residents who reside in villages across the country with neglected infrastructure and poor quality housing. Finally, the BBC is reporting Suella Braverman has launched a full-scale attack on her former boss, UK Prime Minister Rishi Sunak, one day after he fired her as Home Secretary. In a letter to the Prime Minister, she said he had repeatedly failed on key policies and broken pledges on immigration, adding Mr. Sunak had adopted wishful thinking approach to avoid having to make hard decisions and choices. She wrote accusing him of betrayal and having no real intention of keeping his promises to the UK people. And that is news to 6 a.m. right here on News Power Digital. We'll have major news coming your way at 7 a.m. Good morning.
Up to date and credible. Power 102 Digital.
Mike. What day is it, Mike? Leslie, guess what today is?
It's hump day.
Woo-hoo!
All right, that's what it is. It is Hump Day Wednesday, the middle of the month, the 15th day of November. Good morning to you. Thank you so much for joining us. It is 40 days to Christmas. Just saying. Thank you for joining us. Of course, full casting this morning. We just heard from Paul Richards with major news, and we'll hear from Richard Rock Barasik, Wendell Stephen. We got Ruben. He's in the mix. Of course, my name is Steve Khan, keeping you company this morning. All right, let's get straight into the WTs. It is lighter than yesterday in some parts. Starting out in San Fernando, you got some traffic from Gasparillo to Claxton Bay, and then Couva towards Sugar Gorners, and then slow going towards the interchange. Going through Endeavor by Chin Chin Road and the Southern Main Road, you've got some there. Trin City to Uwe, and then from Valsain to Barataria, not too bad volume. And then by Swimball, you've got some traffic heading in to the capital of Trinidad and Tobago, Port of Spain. All right. Out in the west, it's beginning to build a bit out in Maraval. Let's take a look at the weather forecast for today in Trinidad and Tobago. Let's see if the Met Office has updated their weather from yesterday. They have not, but they said it's going to be fair to partly cloudy and breezy with occasional showers. There's a low chance, 30% of the daytime thunderstorm. All right, that's your weather for today. All right, let's check the temps across our Trinidad and Tobago. It is 26 degrees on both islands. 26. Felt it this morning. Toronto, you were sitting at 3 degrees. Miami, 25 with a drizzle. So you guys are expecting some flooding today. Orlando, you're at 21 and cloudy. New York, clear and 3 degrees. Atlanta, you're drizzle with 12. London, mostly sunny and 10 degrees. Tampa, you're at 21. Washington, D.C., cloudy, 3 degrees. And our listener out in L.A., which is like after 2 o'clock in the morning, it's 14 degrees. All right. And that's your WTs this morning. Let's see who sent us hellos first thing this morning via YouTube and Facebook. Let's see. DJ Ray out in Tampa. Good morning. Oliver Man Warren, Wendy and James, Carol Joseph. Good morning to you and to the nation. Edwin Marshall. Good morning to you. Marcia Rock, always locked on. Brenda Isaac. Good morning to all in Sweet TNT. Never a dull moment. Tourism Mass on the Promenade. Okay. Dennis Bassard. Ray out in West Palm Beach, Florida. Richard Duku. Karen Yipnow. Mo Gaines out in Aruca. Good morning. Carol Guevara. Wagwan. It's a wet one. Be safe out there. All right. Let's do send us messages via WhatsApp. Wow. Look at messages. Let me start from the bottom going up. Good morning, guys, from Oliver Garth Celia. Good morning to you. He's out in Baltimore, Maryland. Trini in Boston. Good morning to you. And I got one across the pond. Michael from London, England. Good morning to you as well. Thank you for sending some messages via WhatsApp. That number is 318-1021. Shireen Jack, CPT Singh. Good morning to you. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning, everyone.
Morning, Pablo. How you doing?
I'm good.
Morning, Paul. Morning, Steve. Morning, Richard. Morning, Trinidad and Tobago. And good morning, listeners and viewers all over this wonderful but so very messed up globe of ours.
Mm-hmm. Background there, Paul. Whew. 40 days to Christmas. If you see me with my scarf, it's because I have a little sore throat, so I'm just keeping my neck warm a little bit. You know, that flu is going around. I don't want that at all, so I'll fight it big time.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm trying to behave.
I'm not going to tell you, say it. Get it out of your system. Don't bottle it. Get it out.
You know you lose your appetite when you get the flu, right? So.
Yeah, I do have appetite, but I have to eat something. I have to take some zinc. so I have to eat something.
If you don't eat,
Eat fruits. Eat fruits.
That's exactly what I have. I have fruits this morning.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Doubles is not a fruit. Just for your information.
I don't want to see curry for a while. I overdid it with the curry. But it was so
Good morning,
delicious.
everyone.
Yeah.
Morning. Of course.
Good morning, Minister Imber, Acting Prime Minister Imber.
Oh, yes. The Prime Minister headed out to Saudi Arabia.
Now, Paul, I have an next reason for saying that. I sense something sinister coming.
His face is giving away, you know. Say it, Paul. Don't bottle it.
Good morning to Telecommunication Services of Trinidad and Tobago.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yep. And just as I guess we expected, ahead rolled.
Yeah, well, I don't think they had a choice, to be very honest.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
And I'm not rejoicing in anyone's misfortune, but it's not misfortune, anyone's circumstance. I mean, I say misfortune because fortune had nothing to do with it. It's circumstance.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not rejoicing in anyone's circumstance, but I don't think Miss Agard's tenure was tenable, given what had transpired. And I'm not talking about the breach. Breaches will happen again in the future.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
How they dealt with it.
It is how they dealt with it, and the misinformation and the inaccurate information that was transmitted not only to the clients but to the wider population, and certainly to the minister who translated it in Parliament. I think the writing was on the wall from then, and the board certainly would have lost confidence in the Agard's ability to continue in that role with any level of credibility.
Yeah.
But I'm sure she left with golden handshakes. I'm sure she got everything that was in her contract.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you know, I think we need to reach a stage though where people step away from office, based on whatever factors they feel that are untenable. You know, we need to get to that stage, and we are not at that stage.
Did you see the release from TSTT?
No, I haven't seen it.
No.
Right. Well, the release never said she was terminated. The release said she has been replaced, which means she could have resigned. You understand?
Yeah.
The release was very carefully worded, and the release focused on the incoming CEO than the outgoing CEO.
Yes, that's true.
Did you realize that?
I didn't see it. But based on what you said, I have to. Yeah.
Which is very effective communication. They didn't want to end up in no bacchanal. They didn't want to drag Miss Agard reputation through the mud. You understand?
Yeah.
They just said Mrs. Agard has been replaced effective immediately, and you all can make up your mind whether she resigned or she was terminated. You understand? But the new CEO is X, and he has this qualification, that qualification, and we wish him all the best in the future. That's it.
I don't know him at all. I've never heard of him. I've never seen him.
Apparently, he'd been in the company before.
Well, apparently, he was also at Digicel and at Flow. Based on a chat that I'm in, I was reading that he was also in those.
Well, I'm sure he will. He certainly has some experience. I'm going to put a newbie in that position, particularly to guide the company through what is going to be a difficult period moving forward.
Well, you know something? Somebody posted on Facebook last evening something that I was thinking of, because he was previously the manager of customer services.
Experience.
Isn't that what was greatly affected by this thing?
Well, yeah.
The irony of it is that the manager of customer services is now the CEO.
Why is it the irony?
Because it's customer services that was mostly affected.
He wasn't the one leading the organization.
I don't know. I'm just saying there's an irony in there.
I guess in some way, yes.
Yeah.
But there was also another individual who people thought would have been asked, whose name I shall not call.
You want me to give your initials?
No, not that one. I guess that one writing on the wall.
But that's what I thought.
No, this is somebody much higher than that one. You can believe the litany of woes I've heard about that particular individual, whose name I shall not call.
Okay, well, you have to.
But I think the
inbox
board
me that one.
and, well, they never said the minister, but the board and the minister would have lost an immense amount of confidence in the safeguard's ability to move that company out of this. You see, the company's reputation was damaged badly.
Mm-hmm.
And the apology also was, to me, poorly crafted. Interestingly, I had a class I taught last night, and our topic was crisis communication, because the course is on effective communication for law enforcement officers. And I said I was going to use it as an example of poor corporate communication and ineffective crisis communication.
Mm-hmm.
And I drew the difference between how TSTT handled the issue and how Republic Bank handled the issue.
Mm-hmm.
As chalk and cheese. Republic Bank came and said, this is our fault. It's not PriceSmart's fault.
Yeah.
You understand? Don't blame PriceSmart. It's an error on our end. We apologize, and we're working assiduously to ensure that customer information is secure. You understand?
Yes.
As opposed to while we were fixing the issue, we engaged in poor communication. No, it was misleading, inaccurate information. Accept, acknowledge, remedy, apologize, and say when you're going to talk again.
Well, we all know those certificates that the several communication people possess don't actually mean that they are as good as the certificate might indicate.
Not that. No, there's another circumstance. It means it could. I know the people; they're very well qualified. Mm-hmm. Very often, I'm not saying it happened in this case. Very often, and it happens at the ministerial level too. The leaders don't listen.
That too.
And they have their own agendas, which conflicts with what is best practice.
Yeah.
Very often you would say, no, do this. You're going to end up in trouble there.
Yeah.
They have their own agendas, and they ignore the advice of the professionals in the field. Because that's why you will have a VP Finance, a VP Communication, a VP HR, etc. Because these people, and they advise you, and you with your vast experience will say what we're going to do finally. Very often they don't listen.
Yeah. And as you raised
thinking about the new comms person, VP comms or whatever it is.
Who is that? At TSCT?
The former media person.
If that's the person I was thinking about?
Yeah, that's the person you was thinking about.
Yeah. As you raise the issue of communications, though, I noticed the Commissioner of Police is also now taking a greater role in addressing certain issues with regard to the TTPS, because she came out and addressed that issue of the shooting at Belmont, outside the Belmont police station. Now, my problem with that issue is based on the reports that are coming out of that particular incident, right? A young man was detained for questioning on certain issues, right? He has had a past, right? Because of certain information that came to the TTPS, the Belmont police station, they had apparently offered him an escort home. And he walked out of the station. But I'm saying, if you are aware that someone may want to harm this young man, kill this young man, wouldn't you have also discreetly put something in place so that this don't happen in front of his police station? You know?
Are you suggesting that, well, now they know it will happen, but I don't think police think that criminals will be that brave? No, it's happened before.
It's happened before.
It's happened before.
Yeah. You know, so because and if I have to believe another voice note that came out with two policewomen apparently, and they said that they recorded it in the station diary, that the young man had said he had asked for a Bible, and that apparently he said words to the effect that God had given up on him. I don't know if you could play that, Paul. It's a voice. It's a voice note that came via WhatsApp.
Well, is it Has it been
Verifiable?
confirmed?
I'm not sure.
Verified?
No, I'm not sure. I'm not
Well, then
sure.
I'm not going to play.
Yeah, we can't play that.
All right. So I'm saying if all that is true, then surely the TTPS, the Belmont Police, could have been a little more proactive in terms of avoiding, or even if they couldn't avoid the situation from happening, the incident, at least they would have been on it, and the guys may not have gotten away. The people involved may not have gotten away.
I'm going to disagree with you this morning.
No problem.
But we like to do that. We have a fervent
I cool with that.
Debate environment here.
Mm-hmm.
My understanding of the information is that the police offered the young man a lift home,
Mm-hmm.
very much because I guess they was concerned about his well-being.
Mm-hmm.
The young man declined. I understand they offered him on more than one occasion. Let us take you to someplace safe home. He said no.
Mm-hmm.
Pick up your bag and walk out. And the assailants, who, if you are to believe the reports, who were parked in the police station car park,
Mm-hmm.
ride out, come out of the car with an AR-15 and riddle him. And I'm not saying that to minimize the value of his life.
Mm.
Okay? You can't get more brazen than that. And if they didn't get him there, did I get him as the police shot him off?
And I'm agreeing with that, I'm just saying that because last night one of the news reports went to the question of did the police inform the gunman that he was coming? That's where one of the news reports went last night. You understand?
And you see that kind of wild, irresponsible speculation. I want no part of.
Yeah.
Or that just wild, irresponsible speculation.
Yeah, they went all there.
But people know it's social media. It gives a voice to every. Not say that.
No, that wasn't social media. That was mainstream media.
Whether or not he was involved in gangs or crime, may God rest his soul.
Mm.
And his murder and those over the weekend pushed the total to 502. And Mrs. Harewood Christopher did speak to the media outside the police station.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't get the impression it was a press conference call. I get the impression they catch her coming out of the police station or the Forensic Sciences Center, depending on which media house you believe, and stick a mic in her face, and she said the obvious.
Yeah.
That it is abhorrent and blah, 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 blah.
Another incident I want to touch on quickly because I posted about it is that incident in Woodbrook. The shooting at Fifth Street again, because it's almost becoming a regular occurrence now, especially in that particular area on particular days, the weekend. And I'm saying, why can't we have some proactive policing? London had this problem, especially with the pubs coming out at night. I remember the first time I went to London, I actually went to Colchester in 2007. I remember Coven telling me, because we were sitting in a bar lining, and he said, you see that the bunch of fellas there? They were all Caucasian, about 8 of them, standing up drinking, and started to get louder. Hear that is going to end in a fight. Hear I bet you that. And so said, so done. They fight among themselves. You understand? And we're talking about 8 young Caucasian guys. They all fought up. They fight break out among themselves. He said that's a normal thing here. That was 2007. The police in London subsequently put things in place that they would park up outside a lot of these trouble spots. You understand? They would remain there until that pub closed, and then usher those people away from and get home into the buses or into whatever transport that they had. That was active, proactive, effective policing done in London because of the problem that started to happen at their pubs. Today, it's almost non-existent. Why can't we do the same? Why are we allowing the avenue that we're spending so much time money and effort on, because the avenue looks absolutely beautiful now. I don't know if you all have driven down the avenue and see the excellent work that they've been doing in terms of upgrading the avenue, right? Why are we allowing a spot like that a lot of people gravitate to get to the stage where it's a shooting and a wild west and people running and scampering? How is that tenable in the long run? How is that good for anywhere, an area, or even a country? That you can't even go to probably one of the most popular spots in the country today and enjoy yourself because some bunch of idiots come around with guns and shooting. And no police, apparently, based on all that I've seen and heard. No police present there. But I see police on the avenue. They park up mostly by those casinos because I think those casinos probably pay them the extra duty to come and think. You see them. So why not at those places, some of those places?
But I want to go back to that and conjoin that with the conversation we were having earlier about the young man who was killed outside Belmont Police Station. And the point is that Monsignor Raghubar Singh makes regularly, and you too, Wendell, that it is astounding that that young man was killed when?
That was 2 nights ago.
Yeah.
Belmont Police Station. And according to reports, the car drove out of the police car park or a car park close to the police station. And police must have heard the volley of gunfire. And they don't have either CCTV cameras or air support or drones to activate immediately, surveil the area, and follow that car and intercept it. That, to me, is the real tragedy here. That they can't report to the public that, well, the car, they killed the young man in front of the police station. You didn't matter go far. As you hear the volley of gunfire, activate jumping car, follow car, because the car is being tracked somewhere. You realize, you understand?
Yeah.
If your car cannot catch the people when they kill the man in front of the police station, where are you catching them?
Exactly. Yeah.
Where are you catching them? When I hear they say, okay, well, they catch them because right in front of the police station. If the criminals could feel so self-assured that they could park up in the car park, come out and kill the man and drive off and get away, it says a lot about how much confidence they have or lack of in the police catching them.
Yeah. Well, the commissioner raised that, the brazenness of the criminals, but guess what,
They
commissioner?
are only brazen because of the ineffectiveness of the police.
Yeah, yeah. Address
You
that.
know the one we got?
Address your forces, madam.
Yeah. Address that, because we can't continue. We cannot continue this way. We cannot.
I want to go back to PFPC because something on my chest here, I want to it griping me.
Get it out, Paul. Get it
So
out.
when we full stop, new paragraph. New topic header, or old topic header, previous topic header. So when the issue with TSTT started, we interviewed a particular union head who was calling, fire them! Remember that?
Yes.
Fire them now!
I wasn't in the interview, but I messaged.
Our contention was that due process must be engaged. You are a union head, and you defend people who were fired without due process. Because that's part of natural justice. You know what the man said to me last night? Dr. Richards, you're still talking about due process? Question mark, question mark, question mark. And I just shake my head. Don't you realize, sir, that an investigation would have been carried out, ascertaining the facts and documenting them before a decision was taken by the board, which is part of due process?
But is he saying due process wasn't followed?
Due process, question mark, question mark, question mark. In other words,
Because
I
last
get him
night on the news-
in the face.
last night on the news, he said they've been vindicated in a kind of way.
After due process. Due process do have to take 6 months here.
Clyde is a trip anyway.
I just shake my head, that's it.
Morning,
Just-
Mr. Raghubar Singh.
Good morning.
Hi, good
Mr.
day, guys, and good morning to our
Hey,
listeners,
Richard.
wherever you are.
We now call your name.
Why, you all ready for papers?
No. We were saying that the brazen murder of the young man outside Batman police station. If there were drones or air support or cameras along the route that could have been tracked one to the other by the National Operations, and I don't know what else call it now because it's changed name every 4.5 years. They should have been able to track a car that transported criminals, that killed the man and intercepted. Not so?
Yeah.
But apparently not, because 2 days after, no report or no announcement that we've held the guys. So they're so comfortable that the technology ain't working on it, non-existent, that they could pull up in front of the station. I hear you in Batman police station. There we go. Jump in.
Yeah, that holds no fear for them.
None.
That they'll be caught.
None. As a matter of fact, they almost at the point of walking in the police station.
Yeah.
That's the only frontier they have to traverse now. Oh, Lord Father. So we go across in England, huh? Shall we go to England, guys?
You could. Permission granted.
But before we go to England, let's go to Makila Pandey versus Philip Alexander.
Oh, you had to raise that, eh?
Oh, you see why Philip done, right? Too much money to spend.
Done until he could get somebody to bankroll him again.
Money to spend. Too much money to spend. That must cost him too much money.
How much money? Because Con Ember, I think, got a
$500,000.
Like,
too much. Well, I'm gonna tell you.
Others in the pipeline. I don't know.
Not a friend of yours who's a friend of mine who's a friend of Steve. Who's apparently a friend of LNCB.
Yeah. Oh God. Look where he got to.
They put up something and pull it down the other day. Something very saucy.
Are we still talking about Philip Alexander?
I'm trying to squeeze my lips together because I sort of want to talk.
I don't know if we're still talking about Philip Alexander.
According to reports, they put up something and put it on fast. They're about some $44 million, something or the other. You understand?
I'm merely asking whether there were other cases in the
pipeline. And I say, well, is that good? They put it down because they don't owe a certain individual some money already. So these days, judgments coming fast and furious. Be careful what you say.
Yeah, exactly. People not sticking.
No,
people are ramping up.
They're right. If you're going to say something, you're going to have to stand the consequences of saying or publishing it.
Yep.
Otherwise, tell you, I try to, before you put it up here, verify it. Before you say it, know what you're talking about.
Yeah. But, and I was saying that the other day, I said we on this show in particular, and on this station, we have been extremely careful over the years in how we do things and what we say. Sometimes, we think, and we are always quick to apologize, but
it's not even about us. It's about, people have to remember that is someone's reputation.
Yeah, it is. It is. It goes
character.
to a character.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
and you can't be saying things about people that unverifiable or unverified
Yeah.
because your feed just because it's Facebook and Instagram and TikTok.
Yeah. The
So
days are gladiator
Done.
getting away with that nonsense. Long over.
and you know, allegedly does not save you.
Nope.
You understand? If you make a genuine mistake, and people don't realize, some callers get upset when we stop them.
Yeah.
We are held responsible for the callers too,
Yep.
but we are the ones broadcasting it.
Yeah,
So
we
don't
need
take
them.
away from- I will stop you.
Yeah, I have made that point on my Facebook page in that if I put up a status and you come with some stupid, I delete in your comment.
You
I'm
have to delete it.
responsible
You're
for
supposed
what
to delete it. Yeah.
appears on my Facebook page.
Everyone is.
Yeah, I delete your comment. I've done that on many occasions.
Turn off comments on your page.
Yeah, I've done it.
Yeah. So
Nobody ain't
let's
coming
go.
to make
We
go
could
back on
drop
all
off the pond now. We could take the 7.5 hour flight, and the Starship Enterprise, and end up in London, England. And the Conservative Party is again falling apart at the seams. So Prime Minister Rishi Sunak, who I don't think very much of, quite frankly, my opinion, has received the resignation letter from former Home Secretary Suella Braverman, who basically ripped him a new one. Not surprising. She accused him of betrayal, having no intention to keep his promises, da 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 da. Just like the one before, is it Liz Trust, who sacked the then treasurer of the exchequer?
Yeah, the treasurer.
Because of this decision he made, which no doubt Liz Truss endorsed in the cabinet, and pretend to pull out, she said, by firing him. It will come to that with Rishi Sunak. I am doubtful he will even make it to the next election next year.
But she talked about a lot of right-wing, what I'm calling right-wing.
Of course, she's heavily right-wing influenced.
Yeah, right-wing kind of policies that she wanted, but that she claims he had agreed to implement. And she also referenced an upcoming Supreme Court decision with regard to Rwanda, which actually came out this morning.
It came out, okay.
Yeah, and the administration lost that case.
Which she said he had to be prepared for.
Yeah, the Supreme Court in London said that was unlawful.
And it was to take Rwandans back to their country.
But with regard to Rwanda...
Well, Rwandan refugees, I should say.
No, it wasn't refugees, it was an asylum plan where Rwanda was going to be a third country for asylum seekers. It was a complicated plan, I think, where they were going to have people who were seeking asylum into the UK would be sent to Rwanda.
Okay.
While the issue was being resolved, they wouldn't be in the physical United Kingdom.
Okay, yes, asylum seekers. Okay, I understand.
Yeah.
So it's like a base for asylum seekers. Okay.
So the Supreme Court today said it's unlawful.
Yeah, but he had to be prepared for losing that.
Yeah, to one of the issues she raised in the letter. Yeah.
So, but you see, given the history of Mr. Sunak, even when he was in Boris Johnson's cabinet and how he handled himself there, why is she surprised? And he's going to encounter so many more issues coming up because he is seemingly afraid to take tough decisions. He likes to come across as Mr. Nice Guy. And in any case, I don't think the Conservatives are going to win the next election in the UK. I think Labour is going to sweep them at the polls because they've had 3 or 4 prime ministers who were abysmal in terms of performance. Abysmal. You know? And now he reinstates or brings back David Cameron, who was missing yesterday because apparently he's still a lord. So I don't know if he can sit in the House of Commons as a lord and they're asking questions as the Speaker of the House did, as to if he's a Lord and not going to appear in the House of Commons, how are they going to hold him accountable? How is he going to answer questions that are valid questions? You understand? Because apparently their system is not like ours, where if you're a minister in the Senate, the upper house, you can go to the lower house to make a statement, but I never see them but they don't answer in the lower house either. They may present in the budget in the lower house, but I've never seen no, actually, no. They actually don't answer in the lower house.
The answer.
Yeah, the answer.
Yeah.
But that doesn't seem to be the case in the UK, because the Speaker asked for the Parliamentary Council to tell him, how is this going to work? How is David Cameron going to be held accountable? Or is somebody going to be talking on his behalf all the time? Which is ridiculous. You understand?
Yeah.
So again, another kind of weird move by Rishi Sunak.
And they have elections coming up within a year, not so?
Yep.
Yeah, it's not far off.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you think we are worries and they was our colonial masters, okay.
They are exemplars.
I wouldn't go that far.
But we always talk about
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know any head of state.
Westminster tradition and resigning and so on.
I don't know. I don't know.
They do have a tradition of that. That they do have.
They do. They resign.
They resign. Yeah.
We don't resign. We get fired.
Mm-hmm.
We gotta get fired
for dear life until lawsuits start to come.
We cling on.
Judgments start to come.
We cling.
We cling on to office.
Cling on to office. Yeah, so that's what's happening around the world. And of course, more and more countries are starting to take out their diplomats from Israel in demonstration as to how this conflict is going, while they denounce Hamas as a terrorist group.
I've not been able to watch those videos.
The empathy for the plight of the Palestinian people who are not part of Hamas. Apparently, it's about 11,000 dead, 2/3 of which are women and children.
Yeah.
And many countries are saying, how can the world sit and watch this? And they're calling for Israel to have a different kind of approach to protecting themselves, which they have the right to it. Don't get me wrong, you understand? Hamas is who fired in Israel first. And Hamas is a terrorist group.
A lot of people are going to dispute that.
Well, but if you fire, and it's a complicated situation, but to me, it doesn't justify what's presently happening with the deaths of women and children also involved, seemingly as casualties of war. You understand? So I don't know how the world could sit by and watch these children are being born in hospitals without electricity and supplies and dying shortly after. And it is just no water, no food, no medicine, no fuel, no electricity. And the bombings continue.
And if the numbers coming out saying 11,000, trust me, it's twice or three times.
It's a lot more than that.
It's a lot more than
that.
It's a horrible situation.
Israel has a right to defend itself.
Yeah, you're right, Wendell. I don't even watch it because it's just too cheap.
No, I can't watch it. It's difficult to watch. How are you watching that every day?
Yeah.
Knowing what's happening. Anyway, Richard, you have papers?
Yeah, I do. So I can go through the newspaper. Oh, good. I got my glasses. All right. So the front page of the Daily Express today, which is Wednesday, November 15th, 2023. And the main headline that the Express went with this morning, TSTT CEO fired. That's the headline they went with. Board acts after mishandling of cyber attack communication. And there is a picture of Lisa Agard and other subheadlines on the front page. Murder toll crosses 500.
She take a little rest and get a big job somewhere.
Say that again?
She'll take a little year rest and get a big work somewhere else.
Okay. Murder
toll. Go into politics then.
A wrong Wendell.
Murder toll
go into politics then.
Crosses 500. And there's a picture of soca singer Ronnie McIntosh. He performed a song while dancing yesterday with American tourists Peggy Broden and Renilta Perkins from Nashville, Tennessee, at the Ministry of Tourism's Live at Lunch event on the Brand Lara Promenade.
Live at lunch?
Yeah.
Like Korean Charles?
The Ministry of Tourism Live at Lunch event on the Brand Lara Promenade. And on the back page of the Daily Express, ahead of home series against England, drumming up support, Coach Sammy calls on fans to rally around the West Indies. So that's the front and back of the Daily Express. Moving along to the Newsday today, the front page of the Newsday, what did they go with? Weeks after major cyber attack, TSTT CEO gone. That's the headline. And there is an inset photo of Lisa Egard, former TSTT CEO. Arsonist pulled from burning house. And the main picture is of Welcome Jambi, Amoko Jambi, welcomes tourists as they disembark from the Ruby Princess cruise ship on Tuesday at the cruise ship complex, Dock Road, Port.
Yeah, Maxis.
Oh, Port. Well, you know, in Trinidad, there is no shortage of Maxis.
Okay. Not in Tobago. It's better they working on it. It's not much for Maxis in Tobago now. It's better they working on it.
You know, in Trinidad, you have Maxis galore. they could take Maxi. Arsonist pulled from burning house. Oh, that's also on the front page. And on the back page, Soca Warriors James wants to feed off Garcia's experience. Natty eager for Levi combo and TT International Marathon postponed to March 2024. On to the Trinidad and Tobago Guardian. What do you think their headline is? I'll tell you.
Yes,
Ingard axed. That's the headline. Fallout from massive TSTT cyber attack. Board axed days after a public apology. Western named new acting CEO. I wonder if you get a severance package when it's as part of a contract with them.
I am sure she did not miss out on any of her package.
Yeah. I wonder if you would. I don't know. SWRHA battles European hacker to save its system. Alexander ordered to pay $1 million to Michaela Pandey. All of that is on the front page of the Trinidad and Tobago Guardian. And on the back page...
That is an expensive motor.
As Windies A heads to South Africa, Collie sees value in tour. Was it Collie? I don't know. And that's it, basically. That's the main headline on the back page. So that's it for our 3 dailies this morning in Trinidad and Tobago.
All right. Let's say good morning. Going out to CPT Singh out in Caroni. Wayne B in Covenant, Georgia. Good morning. Brent Sylvester. CG out in New York. Good morning to you. Rena Budu Jennings. Showin Kerr. Good morning to you. Mars versus Venus. Okay. Anthony Tintor in Canada. Mrs. R. Scorpion Pepper. Doreen Pierre. Good morning. And on WhatsApp, we got some here. Good morning, Paul Wendell, Steve Richard from Central Trinidad. And
okay. See somebody back on TV just to read the news.
Oh, you couldn't leave it alone.
No, he can't. He couldn't.
No, you just like to go down the rabbit hole.
Actually, they like to go down the rabbit hole.
You like to go down the rabbit hole.
Actually, they like to go down the rabbit hole.
Oh boy. Well, let me get the results of our poll from yesterday, gentlemen, as we come up with this poll. Yesterday, we asked you, do you think the proposed crime talks between the government and the oppositions are now dead in the water? That was our poll yesterday. The final results, 89%. 89 said yes.
I do believe that, and I could stand corrected, that CWU is also calling for the removal of the TSTT board of somebody else. It could be the UNC also.
It's UNC.
That,
It's
that
in
could
today's
be
paper.
something about question this morning. Do you think the entire board of TSTC should also go?
Yeah. It's in today's papers. It's the UNC calling
It's
for
the
the
UNC,
removal
okay.
of the
All
entire
right,
board.
yeah. And that
All
could be the, some are suggesting that the CEO is not enough.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Who's
could
the
the
chairman
board
of the
would-
board
board
there?
of-
Is it
Sean Roach.
Sean Roach? Who is
Yeah.
Lyle Alexander then?
He was not Army somebody.
No, that's that name, either Sullivan or Alexander, is someone at senior at TSCT. What is
I don't know who that is.
somebody's
Anyway, what do you all say for the question?
Yeah, let's go with that.
Yeah, we can go with that. Do you think the removal of Miss Agard is enough? Is sufficient? Or you want to put should the entire TSCT board be fired?
All right.
Taking too long to come up.
All right. Do you think the board of TSTT
I was
should
going to suggest
also
you take
be
something in.
replaced? So our morning poll, call us 222-8255, toll-free number for North Americans, 866-525-1099. On YouTube and on Facebook, you send us a message, and on WhatsApp at 318-1021. Do you think the board of TSTT should also be replaced?
Yeah.
Or no? All right.
That's our poll this morning.
Yeah, got some calls already. Good morning.
Good morning, gentlemen. Sandy Grandy, yes.
All right, Grandy, thank you so much. Rain is coming your way. It's raining heavy in Toco at the moment. Scorpion Pepper says yes. Okay, I don't know what Mrs. Zara said there. Good morning to you, Sovereign. All right, so 222-8255. Do you think the board of TSTT should also be replaced? That's all.
With the word replace.
Yeah,
Fired,
Bobby says yes.
Well, the company used the word replace to Miss Agard, so I just used that word.
No, Richard just read something, a headline there saying that we fired.
That's a
All right, that's the poll. Long Islander says yes. Akash says no. Via WhatsApp. Karen Yipnow, yes. Maraval on the road. He said, "Bust the truth." 222-8255. Toll free for those in North America. 866-525-1099. Do you think the board of TSTT should also be replaced?
So bust the truth is a yes then.
I would guess.
Yeah.
Miss Bonnie West says yes. Somebody else, Lorna. Morning, Lorna. Indy Kali, yes. Richard Duku says yes. Wayne B says yes. Mrs. R says no. Wayne Joseph, Ontario, Canada, says yes. All right. Do you think the board of TSTD should be also be replaced? Of course, coming up next hour, we have two guests next hour. We have Mr. Hassel Bacchus and Wendell. The other person would be
Corporal Dane Marie Marshall.
Yeah, and
talking about the human trafficking incident case.
Right. All right. D says yes without any perks via WhatsApp. Guy Small says no.
Are you ready for this? You got a way to study.
What's that?
You say you got relaxing this morning, but you book a ticket for a shopping trip and deciding which way to go next.
Shopping therapy. Rena Boodoo Jennings says no. Gregory Bauer says no to the poll. Another WhatsApper says yes. Another WhatsApp. No from Debe. Thank you, Debe.
Of course, you can WhatsApp us at 318-1021, 318-1021, and Of course, you can talk to us too. 222-TALK, 222-8255. North Americans, 866-525-1099. That's absolutely toll-free to you.
Oh, yes.
And
Oh, yes,
people who
that's
want to
somebody
send
professional.
messages can send them via the comment section on YouTube, Facebook, or LinkedIn.
How do you know somebody professional?
A what?
How do you know somebody's professional? When they log on 15 minutes before the interview starts.
When you get data, when you have free data.
When you have free data. We'll see in about 15 minutes, Minister. Thanks for
Just
joining
checking
us.
to make sure everything works.
You see, that's professional.
Everything works.
What is this going on in Arima here this morning? Like a storm coming in Arima? What is that?
Yeah, it's going to be a bit rainy today.
It's raining. If you hear that wind just now pass through here.
Yeah, they're saying the Met Office is saying today until midnight, cloudy and breezy conditions are expected with occasional showers occurring. There's also a 40% medium chance of a few heavy showers and thunderstorms. Some cloudiness will persist overnight, accompanied by few showers, gusty winds, street flash flooding may accompany heavy showers. All right. Yeah. Light rain in Sugar Gorners, heavy rain in Toko at the moment.
Yeah, but it's getting heavy in Arima.
Yeah. So I got a WhatsApper saying yes. Julia S. Batiste says no. Beefy Smith in Tobago. What's the weather like for you, Beefy Smith in Tobago? He says yes. Cynthia Rams Group says yes. Do you think the board of TSTT should also be replaced? All right. Lisa Igard was immediately replaced yesterday. But do you think the board of TSTT should also be replaced? Yes or no? Call us at 222-8255. Messages via YouTube and Facebook and WhatsApp at 318-1021. All right. Sexy San Fernando says yes to the poll.
So our poll, do you think the board of TSTT should also be replaced? That's the poll we have on this morning. Of course, we're going to the 7 o'clock news shortly, but you can continue to vote by sending your vote via our comment section on YouTube and, of course, our other various platforms, including WhatsApp at 318-1021. Of course, if you're outside of Trinidad and Tobago, well, WhatsApp, you have to include the code anyway, 868. 318-1021, and we can take your votes there because we are heading to the 7 o'clock news at this time.
Alice Sahad says no. Edwin Marshall says yes. A few stragglers coming in down the end here. But wait, TSCT is under public utilities or digital transport?
Public utilities.
Public utilities?
Yeah.
Maybe it should shift. When we speak to Minister Bacchus, we'll ask him why isn't it under his purview.
Because considered a utility, I guess.
Not sure. All right, so keep voting on our morning poll. Of course, it's going to stay up on our website and app. Do you think the board of TSTT should be replaced? All right, check it anymore. No. All right, let's get into our major.
Where's the score there quickly?
What? Sorry.
Where's the score? India was making a pile of runs there.
Oh, really? I did.
The first semi-final is playing now, right now.
Really?
India versus New Zealand.
I'll have to. All right, I'll give you that results after. I did not know there was a game on today.
Yep.
Yeah, India's 238 for 1 after 33 overs.
Yeah, see?
Kohli is on 78.
Oh Lord, another 100 from Cody.
Yeah, no kidding, eh?
He
All
just-
right,
he
let's
just
get
go
into
like
our major news. Avril Sinhill Bab is in.
This is your news bulletin from Power 102 Digital.
Lisa Agard is handed her termination papers as Ken Weston is appointed new CEO at TSTT. Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley to attend CARICOM Saudi Arabia summit in Riyadh. The murder toll in TNT crosses the 500 mark, and the Islamic Front claims delay and lack of transparency in repatriation efforts for Trinidad and Tobago citizens currently held in camps in Syria and Iraq. Details in a moment. This is news to 7 o'clock on Power 102 Digital. I'm Avril Sinhill Bab. Good morning. The Board of Directors of Telecommunication Services of Trinidad and Tobago Limited has appointed Kent Weston to the post of Acting Chief Executive Officer following the departure of Lisa Agard. TSTT says Mr. Weston's appointment will take effect immediately. It says the board welcomes and congratulates Mr. Weston on his appointment and wishes him every success in his new role. The development comes on the heels of the recent cyber attack of the state-owned entity. TSTT says that Mr. Weston is the holder of an MBA in Innovation and Entrepreneurship from Anglia Ruskin University, an MBA in Telecommunications from the Telecoms Academy in the United Kingdom, and a postgraduate certificate in General Management. He brings a wealth of leadership experience to the position, having held senior executive roles in the local, regional, and international telecommunications industry, always with a focus on commercial operations and customer experience. Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley left for Saudi Arabia on Tuesday, where he is scheduled to attend the CARICOM Saudi Arabia Summit in Riyadh, Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Leaders are scheduled to participate in focused, in-depth, and active engagement on issues of mutual importance at the bilateral, inter-regional, and global levels. The summit will be co-chaired by His Royal Highness Prince Mohammed bin Salman bin Abdulaziz Al Saud, Crown Prince and Prime Minister of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, and the Chairman of CARICOM, Roosevelt Skerrit, Prime Minister of Dominica. This event will also include the participation of heads of state and government from CARICOM, along with the CARICOM Secretary General. This event will also include the participation of heads of state and government from CARICOM, along with the CARICOM Secretary General. Minister of Foreign and CARICOM Affairs Dr. Amory Brown, Minister of Energy and Energy Industries, and Minister in the Office of the Prime Minister Stuart Young, and the Minister of Agriculture, Land and Fisheries Kazim Hossain will also be in attendance. Minister of Finance Colm Imbert will act as Prime Minister until Dr. Rowley's return. Trinidad and Tobago's murder toll has crossed the 500 mark to 502. Over the long Diwali weekend, Kevon Moses, also known as Keston Monroe, and B, was shot to death. The corresponding toll around this time last year was 534. According to police, Moses of Calvary Hill East, Port of Spain, had been detained last Friday by the Port of Spain Gang Intelligence Unit as a suspect in the November 7th murder of 36-year-old Daryl Bucard, who was shot and killed in the yard of his Simon Valley St. Anne's home. According to police reports, he was being interrogated about the incident, but sometime on Monday, two attorneys representing the interests of Moses arrived at the Belmont police station armed with a writ of habeas corpus, which they served on the police on duty at the station. As a result, the police released him around 6 p.m. Prior to walking out, he was offered a lift to his home by police, but he refused. Police said as he walked out, he was approached by a man armed with an AR-15 assault rifle from the station's visitor car park. The man opened fire on him, hitting him multiple times. He fell to the ground while the gunman got back into the car, which then sped off. Two officers on duty took Moses to the Port of Spain General Hospital, where he was pronounced dead on arrival. Police say they recovered 11 spent 5.56 shells at the scene. Speaking to the media following the killing outside the Belmont police station, Police Commissioner Erla Haywood Christopher said the motive for the killing is presumed to be gang-related. She added that this was another unfortunate example of the desperate, brazen attack by the criminal elements in our country. She said that the police view such conduct as wholly unacceptable, and she vowed to continue to confront and apprehend criminal elements wherever they find them. There is the view more should be done in terms of investment, expansion, and diversification of Lake Asphalt to ensure the company remains competitive on the international arena. It's a view expressed by Renwick Campbell while being interviewed on the afternoon Power Drive program on Power 102 Digital on Tuesday. Mr. Campbell cited some of the global projects in which products from the company have been used.
Of the history of Lake Asphalt as a company, you know that it has played significant parts in many international projects. And you know, they boast of being the pitch being used to pave the Olympic Stadium in China and different large projects around the world.
He recalled the days when the company was a landmark site in the La Brea area in terms of its former glory, but claimed it was not given the kind of focus, energy, and investment which is having serious implications, especially in light of the closure of Petrotrin.
However, when it comes to the investment in Lake Asphalt as a company, even with bitumen being such an important part of their product line, the expansion and the diversification of a company such as Lake Asphalt having been in operation that long is not something that I think was made a priority over the years to try to bring Lake Asphalt up or to maintain Lake Asphalt as one of those top of the line companies, I would like to say.
The Urban Development Corporation of Trinidad and Tobago Limited will be in the spotlight today from 10 a.m. during a meeting of the Joint Select Committee. At the meeting, the JSC will conduct an examination of the audited accounts, balance sheet, and other financial statements of UDACOT. This is for the financial years 2017 to 2018. Focus will also be placed on follow-up on the implementation of the recommendations in the committee's first report of the 12th Parliament. Meanwhile, at 10:15 a.m., Joint Select Committee on Social Services and Public Administration will convene its first public hearing with stakeholders further to its inquiry into Trinidad and Tobago's response to the prevalence of non-communicable diseases with specific focus on diabetes, cardiological disease, and cancer. Wahajatul Islamiyah, the Islamic Front, is expressing concern over what it describes as the delay and lack of transparency in the repatriation efforts for Trinidad and Tobago citizens currently held in camps in Syria and Iraq. In a letter addressed to head of nationals detained in Syria Repatriation Committee, Nizam Mohammed, the organization said the organization seeks urgent clarification on the progress of repatriation and highlighted potential human rights violations. The letter, penned by Umar Abdullah, head of the Islamic Front, raised critical questions about the concrete actions taken in the repatriation process, specific arrangements to expedite returns from camps in Syria and Iraq, and interventions for children facing obstacles in England. Well, you are listening to news on Power 102 Digital to 7 o'clock. Finally, in weather news for the period today till midnight, Trinidad and Tobago, cloudy and breezy conditions are expected with occasional showers occurring. There's a medium chance of a few heavy showers and thunderstorms. Some cloudiness will persist overnight, accompanied by a few showers. Gusty winds and street or flash flooding may accompany heavy showers or thunderstorms. You can expect a temperature high of 31 degrees Celsius, both at Piarco International Airport and Crown Point in Tobago. Currently, it's 26 degrees Celsius at Piarco and 25 at Crown Point. Recapping your headlines to 7 o'clock, Lisa Agard is handing her termination papers as Kent Weston is appointed new acting CEO at TSTT. Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley to attend CARICOM Saudi Arabia Summit in Riyadh. The murder toll in TNT crosses the 500 mark, and the Islamic Front claims delay and lack of transparency in the repatriation efforts for Trinidad and Tobago citizens currently held in camps in Syria and Iraq. I'm Avril Sendhill-Bab. That was news to 7 o'clock on Power 102 Digital. Look out for more news in detail at 12 noon today and an update at 8 o'clock this morning. For more details, log on to fm.com.
Up to date and credible. Power 102 Digital.
You tried it, Paul. You tried it, but it didn't come out well. Log on.
Log on.
Thank you, Avril, for our major news. Get on again at 8 o'clock for our news brief. Now, let's get into our traffic update. It's a bit brutal for those coming out in the east. From Grandy Police Station to the Valencia bypass, it is slow going. From Wallerfield towards O'Mara, it is heavy. Apparently, it's raining up your side, Wendell.
It's pouring rain.
Yeah, it's a weather hazard, so that must be why. All right, so from Wallerfield, from Antigua Road straight to O'Mara, Mauska Road, it's heavy. And of course, your traffic again is starting from Maloney, heading straight towards UE, and then Valsane in the Port of Spain. Chaguanas, from Chaguanas to Ibis Gardens is traffic. Kelly Village, head down south, so what's going on there? Usual streets in San Fernando, leaving San Fernando, heading north past Cuba. Yeah, towards Chaguanas. It is volume, lot of brake light there. Rivulet Road, leaving Cuba, coming up to Chase Village. That Southern Main Road itself is very heavy. And you're going to pick up traffic again after Chaguanas by Monroe Road, which is also heavy. Exiting onto Monroe Road is also a bit heavy. Mar Valdego, you know the usual. It is heavy. All right. That's a traffic update for you. I'll check the cameras up or Rima side and see what's happening. All right. Let's get results of our morning poll. Let me just check to see if we have any more. We got Slick Money Grip saying my vote is no. And let me check WhatsApp here. Nothing new. All right. So that's the results.
Richard, were you writing also?
I was.
Okay.
I don't know if I missed some, but I was writing too.
Anyway, our poll this morning, do you think the entire board of TSCT should be fired? Well, Paul gracefully has replaced. But whilst we have the minister online, we're using the word fired. 17 people said yes, 9 said no.
I just have a difference of 1. I have 18 said yes.
Okay, well, you're probably right. So I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. So 18 said yes, 9 said no, all right? And tomorrow we'll probably ask should TSCT be placed under the Minister of Digitalization instead of public utility. We probably poll that tomorrow, but
we have 27 people voting on our poll in the allotted time. Of course, you can continue to vote on this poll throughout the day, through our programming, and we'll give you the final results tomorrow morning, which will be Thursday, the cusp of the weekend.
Yeah, heavy rain in Chaguanas right now.
I know. I know TSCT holds a close place in Mr. Bacchus's heart.
Well, if he wasn't the minister, he might have been the CEO.
But he was there at one point. He was the head of technology, is it? Were you, Minister? Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning to you and the team and everyone.
Good morning. How are you?
At Power 102 Digital. Yeah, I'm all right this morning. Not fully 100, but I am available and ready to work.
We appreciate you taking your time to be with us.
Thank you.
Sure,
so let's jump right into it. We're not going to ask you the poll question this morning because that would put you in an awkward position. We won't want to do that sort of thing. But do you think the board should go also?
You think this should be fired?
But as subtly as ever, Dr. Richards. You know, it's quite easy, I guess, for many people to say yes or no, but unless you understand the full circumstances and dynamics that would have led to the events that happened yesterday with the replacement, with the announcement of a new CEO, and the reasons for that, unless you have all of those things and facts in front of you, it'll be very difficult to make an assessment as to that. On top of that, unless you have, boards that are directly involved in the operations of organizations and companies, if for some reason you're attaching some kind of blame or responsibility on an operational thing to the board, it's very difficult to make that extrapolation. So my answer to you would be that you have to understand all of the dynamics involved with the reason why you would want to remove the board in relation to the action that happened before you actually do so. So I'm really not in a position to say yes or no.
Unless there was an executive chairman and there's a different governance
Exactly.
system.
In an executive chairman, then that particular chairman, along with the executive management of the company, will be held culpable for things associated with operational faux pas. But
all right, this This started because of a hacking situation. Now, this is not the only entity to encounter this recently. We had the Office of the Attorney General, Ministry of Legal Affairs. We had a situation with Public Bank / PriceSmart. We heard earlier this week about a situation in courts that courts have said, well, the client's data is secure. This is not something that this country should not have expected. The government started a Ministry of Digital Transformation because the world was going in the direction of going online. How much, let me start my first question, how much should this country expect these kinds of incidents moving forward? Or should we have expected these incidents and continue to expect them moving forward?
Both. The type of risk associated with the business you have is something that you have to always be cognizant of. In the old days, when everything was manual and you had paper for everything and storerooms of paper everywhere, the real risk to your business then was fire, theft of the document itself, maybe flooding and fluorescent light making the text unreadable. That is one type of risk, and you mitigate against that in different ways. When you're dealing with ICT technology, well, ICT in general, and the utilization of digital technology as a core part of your business, your risk changes. So I was quoted recently saying that, things like cybersecurity is really not an IT problem. It's not an IT only issue. It's a corporate risk issue. Most organizations, Digital 102 is a good example of that. Your broadcast, most of your things are primarily digital. In your corporate risk, if cybersecurity is not in the top 3, something wrong with that. And that is so, I think, for all businesses that engage and have significant parts of the assets and or the operations ground in that. And it's happening as a global phenomenon. We must expect, well, once we got into that type of business, we had to expect that it would happen. And 2, we can expect these attempts to continue, and some will be successful. So the answer to both questions is yes.
But how secure can institutions, public and private, really protect themselves from cyber attacks? Is there ever a 100% protection? Because people may have all sorts of sophisticated firewalls from all of the best brand names like Fortinet, etc., etc. And can you still be hacked?
Well, let me put it this way. There is no 100% protection on anything. There's no way you can say that some of the largest and presumably the most secure entities in the world have had significant cyber incursions. And I mean, I could name them. The Pentagon has had, the US Department of Defense. I mean, you name it. Forbes magazine, you just pick it. And this goes all the way back. So far, let me tell you, this happens so much that the majority of disaster management and preparedness conferences and workshops that I have been to, cybersecurity is a key component of that from a disaster management perspective. Now, the thing I think that traps most people is that they get stuck in the ICT space where cybersecurity is concerned. Cybersecurity is to deal with it, it's a very holistic thing. You have to prepare for when you are attacked. In addition to trying to prevent people from attacking you, you have to prepare for when you're attacked. You have to have all of the mechanisms that are required for you to be able to restore your service as quickly as possible. You have to have the ability to have your own people trained, understand the security things, that understand the inconveniences that go along with those things. When you hire a cybersecurity firm to do work for you on behalf of your organization to protect you, it's not just about stopping people from coming in. It's having you prepared for when you are attacked, having you prepared to deal with the things that go along with that, going through all your records, making sure the things are online, having an effective communications plan. All of those things require specific expertise and require that you have and be made available to you all of those things when you hire a firm. So yes, you will more than likely attempts will be made to get into your systems which are running ICT systems. 2, you have to be prepared. And I think 3, most companies make the mistake of believing that they can handle security on their own. A firewall is not the be all and end all of a security device. There are many other things that you have to do. The last thing I'll say,
What are the ABCs of assessing your company's risk profile?
the way I would do it is the way most companies do it all over the world. First thing is, all companies don't need to adhere to the same quality and standard. So there are international standards, also ISO standards, even others as well, to which you will align your company. Meaning, you will compare the security posture of your company done by an IT professional or by a firm to the standard to which it must be. Most likely, you are not to that standard. You will ask the firm then to, listen, having compared me to that standard, give me a gap analysis. I need to be here, this is where I am. I need to be here, this is where I am. I need to have these things, this I don't have, these are what I need. Coming out from that gap analysis, they will most likely prepare a roadmap for you with the recommendations and prioritized actions that you must take to get to that point. Those things may not all be ICT. Some of them may be educational. Some of them may be changing the way you back up your systems. There are a number of things that will go into that. The deployment of specific types of things, etc. The removal of certain things. And once you have that roadmap, it is now up to the organization to implement those things. But the first thing that you must do is to have a proper assessment done against a standard that gives you the best possible chance to deflect attacks when they happen, but even when you attack successfully, that you will be able to restore and continue your business.
You're muted, Richard. You're muted.
I think that's an important point, the issue of if you are attacked, what are your preparations for it? Because I think a lot of agencies think about preventing the attack, but they may not put their thoughts to, if we attacked, what our recovery workflows to make sure that disruption of services gets back online as quickly as possible.
You know, it is also important to do a post, especially when you go through things and you come out of it. It's really important to do a post-event analysis. I was intimately involved with the situation at the Ministry of Attorney General and Legal Affairs. And I made sure that at the end of it, we got our lessons learned from them. And I will just tell you, it's interesting when I looked at it. I looked at it this morning, just looking to see, all right, what else did we do? And all of the incident response phases and so on. But let me just say this to you this way. What did they find out? What did they get when they were finished with it? Let me just find it and I will tell you what it is. But I think it is important that we understand that when you finish, you get the lessons learned. I'll just give you the bullet points for them without the detail. 1, proactive cybersecurity is essential. 2, incident planning, incident response planning is indispensable. Timely detection and response matters. Timely detection and response matters. Data backup and recovery must be comprehensive. Employee training is crucial. External expertise is valuable. Regular vulnerability assessment are necessary. Threat intelligence is beneficial. Continuous monitoring is a must. Communications and collaboration are key. Communications and collaborations are key. Nothing to do with technology. Scenario-based planning is valuable. Transparency builds trust. And a post-incident review is critical. Lastly, they said, cybersecurity is a continuous journey. You have to be prepared to deal with it. Those are the things. And that came out of the post-review.
How vulnerable are we? I mean, your ministry is relatively new, and it's been stated you're working with other ministries to get them up to scratch with each particular ministry's unique points of vulnerability and unique strengths. But as a country, how vulnerable do you think we are to these kinds of attacks? If there's a standard or if there's a ledger that can tell us, well, we have X to go, we are open to X and Y moving forward, based on your assessment?
I think we're very vulnerable. The Caribbean in general has been a target for some very large cyber hacking agencies. You know, RansomX, Rockbit has been very active in the region as well as a couple others. And these are the best that they have at this in the world. And I think they look at us as soft targets. And I'll tell you why. And it's not necessarily because we don't have technology. Some companies are quite well protected and some are getting there because of what has happened. But I think it is the aspect of the social engineering component of cyber attacks that makes us vulnerable. I was being interviewed recently, and I was asking the reporter who was interviewing me some questions. And I could pose the same question to this panel. This is why I believe we're very vulnerable. Do you have passwords for the things that you have? Yes. Are they strong passwords? How good are they? 8-character passwords. Have you ever changed it and changed it back to the same thing so you want to remember it? Yeah, I just do that all the time. Will you be willing to subject yourself to having 2-factor authentication for every single thing that you do? So if you're logging into your email, it will allow you to enter your password. It will then send you a code on a different device, which you must enter to get access to it. Now, that's really inconvenient because I do always have my phone, and my phone will always have money. So the things that are standard in the industry to protect the things that happen through social engineering type intrusions, we seem not to be willing to want to put up with the inconvenience of them, even knowing what the consequences could be. And unless we are able to change the behaviors of our people, Caribbean-wide, I mean, this is in the Caribbean. I do it because I understand the risks that we have. But if it was your banking, I'm sure you would have no problem doing any kind of authentication to make sure they don't get it. But you do understand the value of your login into a corporate entity. The majority of large hacks in the world have started with the compromise of single credentials that were exploited, used to create other credentials, import technology into your system, and then extract information. That is the reason why I'm saying we're vulnerable. We're just not willing. I don't think we do accept it enough. We're just not willing to do the things that are necessary, even at a personal level, to ensure the security of the information and the things to which the companies to which we work are custodians. Very dangerous.
Minister, how do, because of these recent things and major ones that have been coming about, how has it impacted upon the work that you are doing in your ministry, in terms of instilling confidence in people that this is the way to go?
Let me tell you something. This is, if in the Ministry of Digital Transformation, if something happens in any ministry, division, or agency of the government, we get calls, whether we involved in it or not. A big part of what we are trying to do in terms of the change that has to be made at the people and the process part of where we are in introducing digital technology and transforming how we work is trust. And once that starts to be eroded, regardless of where it starts, I mean, the thing in the private sector impacts us as well. Things that happen in social society impact us as well. Things that happen in Russia impacts us as well. The whole idea behind it is, if we are unable, the message is this: listen, we won't be able to prevent all attacks. But when we are attacked, we're supposed to be able to, one, communicate it effectively, identify what the issues are, and whether that means that we have to I say, listen, we're going to have to do things a little bit differently, or otherwise, that's fine. But every time that there is an attack that is successful, that is either incorrectly managed or managed and not communicated properly, or done in a particular way that creates an issue or public furor, it detracts from our ability to continue to try to build trust in digital systems. It's interesting. The Trinidad and Tobago component of use of, let me just use it, purchase of things online in international markets has not decreased as a result of any of the attacks that have happened in Trinidad. People still trust eBay. They still trust, whatever it is, whatever.
Amazon, whatever.
They still do that. But you find now a shrinking in the confidence to do things locally. Paying utility bills online is an example. Because I am now concerned. You're not worried about the fact that your credit card probably sitting on a database somewhere in eBay. You're not worried about that too much. But
this is because of a lack of public education, and is that part of the responsibility of the state?
It is a big part of the responsibility of the state, because there's no way we can do this transformation without having the message, the comms right. I stress to my team all the time. It is very, very, it is impossible. Even if we get all the technology right, and I can wave a wand that implement everything tonight, if we don't do effective communications, it's not going to work. And so, Paul, you're absolutely right. We have to we have to step up our game in terms of, one, identifying to the public what it is we're trying to do in terms of this transformation. But more importantly than that, make them understand what their role is, have them understand what the benefits of it are for them, and also be very honest and open and frank and say these are the risks and we are going to manage them.
Minister, we have had this discussion before, you know. I don't know if you remember, very early in the day when you were we spoke about the communication issues tied into your ministry. So it needs to be fixed.
No, it comes in general. I don't believe that the government communicates effectively, as effectively as it should. Because if it did, then a lot of the questions that come back to us would have already, the answers to them would have already been in the public domain. I mean, not everyone reads and not everybody goes on social media, etc. But at the same time, the groundswell that would be required of information that should be in the public domain would have been a bit more pervasive in the society, and it's not there, and it is certainly not lost on us. I mean, I mentioned recently something that came up in the budget, that the Minister of Finance had put into the budget a tax incentive relative to cybersecurity, and people didn't know. I mean, and I could tell you what it is. It is a cybersecurity investment tax allowance for up to $500,000 for companies that incur expenditure with respect to investments in cybersecurity software, network security, and network monitoring equipment. To qualify for it, you have to have that certified by iGovTT. But that is there for any organization who wishes to enhance its security. And if you're paying taxes, obviously you get that back off in the tax credit. Most people didn't know. You understand? So if here I am sitting as the minister, and I'm glad for the ability to do this using your platform, but it's to inform companies, listen, please go out and do this. The other thing, of course, is that there are many local companies now that are involved in security. If it was 10 years ago, you would not have found that the industry was purely in the international space. But many local companies, reputable ones, and some of them are even full service companies, meaning that they will handle all of your security needs, including negotiations if you get hacked, etc., etc. That their only business is cybersecurity.
Do we have a national cybersecurity and resilience policy and framework for the public sector? It's one of what listeners is asking that.
Yeah, what happens is there is a policy that is there. If you go back, if the Trinidad and Tobago CSIRT, they under the Ministry of National Security has been working to revamp one of these for some time. They've been getting assistance from international partners. There's one that is there, but when you look at the date on it, it's something that going back to maybe 2011, 2012. It's not. I certainly would not use that as a reference for what it is we're facing now and what we have to do. It has to be fixed. We are going to work with them to do that. But the idea is that if you're looking for a document now, Dr. Richards, that is something that you can say, yeah, this is what we are adhering to. No, the closest thing you could probably find would be mentions of cybersecurity, probably in the last, which recently expired in 2022, the strategic plan, the ICT strategic plan. We have one now that is going to be released, hopefully before the end of this year. And there is a cybersecurity component of it, but cybersecurity as an entity needs to have its own strategy and tactics, and that has to be completed now. What we have now is not adequate.
Yeah. Is there a need for updating of legislation? Is that interconnected to what you're saying there?
Absolutely. The 4 components of transformation, I'll remind, people, process, the technology itself, and lastly, legislation. The legislative piece cannot be understated. Well, if Dr. Richards puts on his other hat as Senator Richards, he would know that at the Senate, we've been mandated to make updates to the Data Protection Act, Cybersecurity Act, etc., etc. Those things are going ahead in alignment with particular standards that are already set. The European Union model is one we're using. I brought back some information from India recently that we're incorporating into it, and those are well advanced because we gave a time frame by which we would come back to the Parliament to deal with those. Those things will go some way to instilling some level of trust in the population, as there will be things in there that companies
with those things pending, Minister. The Prime Minister recently made a comment about he's fearful of going to ATMs and referenced a cashless society. In the absence of those systems, are we there yet?
No, so I know people like cashless, and I know the Prime Minister said cashless. I kind of like a less cash society. The very few societies that I know of have absolutely no cash. I like the less cash model. That has predominantly been the space of the banking sector in previously. And what you would find is that they themselves have their own rules and are quite stringent in what they do in terms of protecting things. But the idea behind it is that if you want general use of technology rather than cash, and that would include wallets, etc., tokens, and so on, then the protection of those systems would be paramount. The adherence of them to legislation that is designed to protect the user and the citizen is also paramount. So until such time as we get to complete, and when I say complete, you always have to be revamping these things. I remember in the debate in the Senate, they said, well, listen, you had the things that were there already. Why don't you just implement them? Well, that was one way we could go, but you would find that they would be ineffective because some of the things that they addressed, one, are no longer threats, or the threats have evolved to a point where the actual measure would deem itself useless. So you're right. The legislative component of this is there not only to protect, but to instill trust and to ensure compliance when things go wrong, that the people who are affected would be made aware, etc., as well as control and monitor, well, not control, monitor and regulate the industry so that things are and can be seen as transparent.
Yeah, I know we don't have much more time in the interview. I just have two more questions. One, how far, I know the state has partnerships or involvement with Estonia and India in terms of different packages, in terms of our digitization process. How far are we from seeing a really transformative digital life in terms of how we deal with public sector services across Trinidad and Tobago? How far off are we from it?
Well, what you would find, and I mean, that's a real good question, because Estonia has been here with us working for some time. They've been physically here in Trinidad and Tobago for months, working on a number of initiatives to get us where we need to do with the underlying infrastructure of interconnectivity. And I'll say that because everything else that is built on that platform. Because if you want to conduct business with the state, very rarely does it start and finish in the same ministry. One of the first things you have to be able to do is to identify yourself. And you could only identify yourself various ways if you want to identify yourself to the state. So Estonia has been here working. What I think has been missing, people looking at the flagship projects that we're working on, but across the board in most ministries, divisions, and agencies, you're finding that there are various components of digital technology that are coming to bear on either the way in which you apply for services or the way in which you receive them. The thing is that not many of them have gotten to the point where they are end-to-end digital. Some of them you could only do some certain parts of it online, and then you still have to go back to a manual process or go into an office. The more of those that get to be end-to-end services will go ahead, and those are going ahead in small drips and drabs. You will find an exponential change in that when we complete the interoperability project that we're doing, and we're well advanced in that. We before, sometime during early next year, you will see this sudden ramp up in the number of services that are made available at from a digital space, and the fact that they will be end-to-end services. A good example of where we're going with that is the Ministry of Works and Transport Licensing Division. They have been making giant strides in doing a number of things. Soon enough, one of the easiest things that I think people have been clamoring for is the ability to renew your driver's permit online. The technology to do that has existed for some time. But then again, think about this. We have to secure it. If we don't secure it, then think about what can happen in those cases. So some of the delays that you're seeing, one, because we have not yet completed our interoperability thing, and the Estonians are here helping us with that, as well as we have India helping us with our EID and the UN. But the individual ones that are happening at ministries, some of them have been delayed by us at the Ministry of Digital Transformation as we assess, and by the TTC, as we address to make sure that the security components of this are well taken care of, and at least prepared for should something happen.
All right. And my other question is, Arima was held up as the flagship for the Smart City project, and I'm not too sure what the status of that is. I know they have built their access center, but I'm not too sure if it has been populated with the necessary infrastructure and etc. in terms of rolling that out. How far off are we with that project?
That particular program was supposed to be the flagship program for this, because it would have been the model upon which we were going to extend it to other places. The component of that has been the most advanced would be the access center piece. I think Ariba is scheduled to have as many as 3. It may be 4, including one up at where the First Peoples are. The infrastructure to allow for that to happen is what was being put in. So that has not been completed in terms of the global infrastructure for the Arima area. The ICT centers have been outfitted, some of them, and there's a new one, I think, to open somewhere close to the market. But those are just the easily visible components of it, and those will get done. I am talking about the security app, for example, where if people choose to, they can download it to their phone. I know the Taxi Drivers Association and so on had agreed with us to have this technology used by them, where citizens, if you're going into a car, you just simply press this and say, okay, and it notifies who you want. It knows when you're leaving, and therefore people have a better idea should something happen to you where you are. Those are the things that will make it transformational to the citizens. The physical entities that we're putting up and so on, that is one thing, but it is really on the customer, in this case, citizen impacting services, where I think the benefit is going to be derived. And those things are still being finished. And of course, to do that, you need to have global access to broadband and internet. And across Arima, that is not completely so yet. So we're working on that as well. Apart from in the main areas of things like the transport hubs, around the entirety of that, I call it the savannah of Arima, where the hospital is, where the market is, the main thoroughfare of businesses, sport and recreation happens there. All of those areas should be covered and give people the opportunity to use reliable and effective broadband if the things that we want to make work are going to be effective.
So how far are we from completion of that?
The completion of it, I really wouldn't want to tell you what that is, because it is not entirely dependent on the state. We use private sector resources for it. You would understand, of course, the government doesn't own a broadband network, so we have to rely on the service providers and their ability within their time frame to enhance the things that we want. We pay for it, but it still has to fit into their work schedule as to what they're doing. So I'll be able to tell you a bit more about that, particularly now as we've now gone into the new budget cycle. But maybe when we do an interview, if I'm invited back next month.
Certainly, you can come back anytime you want. But you see, that's what happens because TSCT lose you, they end up in problems. Minister Fancy being with us. If he was there,
my thanks to you guys for the opportunity to come and speak to the population about some of the things we're doing. And again, please keep up the good work. Keep flying the flag of digital technology in the information and technology space, but more so in the media and broadcast space. The model that you guys embarked on is a model that people did not believe could work. You have proven them wrong. Keep going the way you're going. And of course, you always have my support.
Thank you so much, Mr.
Steve, cue the ministry out there for digital transformation. We don't have it yet? Oh, sorry.
Minister Barker, thanks for being with us this morning. Have a great day.
Thanks, Minister.
Thank you very much. Enjoy the day.
Take care.
All right. Our next guest is standing by.
It's a wet one. It's raining in Port of Spain.
Minister Hassan Bacchus, the Minister of Digital Transformation.
I resent the joy and comfort I hear in your voice when it's raining.
My plants are going, yeah.
Oh, gosh. Good morning.
So our next guest, who is Corporal Dane Marie Marshall. And our topic in this segment is human trafficking. Good morning, Corporal Marshall. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for being so patient.
Good morning to you, Dr. Paul Richards, and of course, good morning to Wendell Stevens, Mr. Raghubar Singh, and Mr. Steve Khan. Good morning to Trinidad and Tobago.
Morning, Corporal Marshall.
I'll let Wendell lead off this one.
Well, Corporal Marshall could first tell us her position in terms of talking on this topic. I know that I think you are the counterintelligence agency. Am I getting that correct?
No. So I was able to successfully secure a conviction in human trafficking, the first ever in Trinidad and Tobago.
Yeah.
All
Well,
right.
congratulations. You should say congratulations on that, because that has been a sore point, I know, with some of the United States review of Trinidad and Tobago in terms of human trafficking, that we had not had a conviction. And
yes.
and I think the US congratulated the country on that first conviction.
Yes, they were encouraged.
Yeah, encouraged. That was the rule.
You care to share with us how that came about?
In 2015, I was then attached to the counter trafficking unit, and that's the unit that is charged with the responsibility of investigating human trafficking in Trinidad and Tobago. This unit is a unit that is born out of statute and operates under the Ministry of National Security. However, we have police officers and immigration officers who are more or less sent across to the unit on an assignment, and you are now deemed an authorized officer. So between the period of 2013 and 2017, I operated as an authorized officer in the counter trafficking unit. In 2015, we received a report like all other reports, and it, of course, born investigation that took me in a place where I found a child who was subjected to sexual exploitation by the trafficker, who is now convicted, that being Mr. Anthony Smith.
How pervasive is this in Trinidad and Tobago?
Excuse me?
How pervasive is this human trafficking in Trinidad and Tobago, or facilitated across the shores of Trinidad and Tobago?
What is important, Mr. Richards, in this case, and I feel as though it was important that this being defaced. What we saw in this case is this was a Trinidadian national, and this happened within the limits of Trinidad and Tobago. The populace always focus on the fact that this might be a situation that only occurs with foreign nationals. And this matter showed Trinidad and Tobago that no, we need to look at our young men and women who operate within the limits of Trinidad and Tobago, who are our nationals. To speak about its pervasiveness, it really would be for the counter trafficking unit at this time to speak on that, because I have not been assigned to that unit since 2017.
Let me reverse engineer that question then, because I think there are very many misconceptions about what constitutes human trafficking, and that may be a good place for us to continue our conversation. What would constitute human trafficking, and specifically related to that case, further to that?
Of course. So in this case, well, constitution of human trafficking speaks to the act, means, and purpose. And when I say act, we speak about whether or not the person was recruited, transported, transferred, harbored. And when we speak about recruitment, in this particular case, the recruitment was done via a newspaper ad. So this victim answered an ad to become an administrative assistant, and was then subjected into a situation where the trafficker indicated that the ad was not a truthful ad, and he operates a bar and operates in the adult sex scenario. Of course, the child indicated early she was not interested and operated in the bar with the trafficker. And then, of course,
this is a child applying for a job on a newspaper. That raises a lot of red flags for me.
And Mr. Richards, as I indicated in the press conference, at 16, I operated and I looked for a job, a weekend job. We have persons who at 16 and 17 will look for jobs. So it is not something that would raise an immediate red flag, because, I mean, persons look for jobs. But what I wanted to really let Trinidad and Tobago know is that the parents should probably look with their children for these jobs. It shouldn't be that it is something that is manifested only by the child to find this job.
But are you legally allowed to employ someone at that age?
At 16?
No, you're not.
At 16?
Yeah.
At 16, yeah.
At 16, I think you are able to employ at 16, not so?
Yes, I think, but it is not. It must not be within the period where there's food and selling of alcohol and that kind of thing.
I mean alcohol and stuff. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You couldn't work in a bar at before your age 18.
No,
right?
no.
So how did the information about the crime come to your attention?
So in conduct of an investigation, and upon searching a premises, we found a passport that was belonging to this particular child. And that then turned the investigation in a particular direction and caused myself and my team to really have a conversation with the child in relation to why the passport was at that place of what we would deem at this time ill repute.
Is it that she was held under threat at the premises?
This was a Romeo-Juliet situation.
Oh.
How so?
Now, when
if
I
an
say
adult
that,
is involved? Romeo and Juliet usually relates to two minors. How is that a Romeo and Juliet situation? If an adult is involved?
No, but I'm saying Romeo Juliet because in the aspect of trafficking, because what we would find in trafficking, so Romeo Juliet in the Children's Act speaks to the two children. In the trafficking world, when we talk about a Romeo situation, we talk about somebody befriending and causing a relationship to happen between two parties and thereby then causing them to be trafficked.
Well,
so
that's a grooming situation, isn't it?
It is also a grooming situation, but in her eyes, in the traffic victim eyes, she would have been in a relationship with her trafficker.
Oh. Willingly.
So she was going back and forth to the scene of the crime under the erroneous impression that she is in a relationship at 16 with an adult male.
Basically.
Wow.
Corporal Marshall, is this help me out here? The trafficker, the person who was held, is not a police officer. Were any police officers involved in this matter at all?
So we will now move to the comments of the judiciary in this matter. I would say that during the course of the investigation, the victim spoke to the possibility of an officer. Mr. Stevens, like everything else, there is importance to have evidence of that nature. During the course of our investigation, there was nothing to really give us that evidence that the person that she was introduced to be an officer was truly an officer. And again, in the trafficking world and understanding trafficking, one of the basic things a trafficker does is to ensure that you have them in a state of servitude. And if a traffic victim is of the opinion that this person, who this person may ever be, might be a law enforcement officer or somebody of status, they would find it difficult to report this matter because then they will be of the opinion at this point the trafficker's friend is the police.
So
it's a strategy and a tactic that is used throughout the world. When you go to conferences and when you speak on trafficking in any scenario, you'll find situations. Sometimes it is a police officer. I'm not saying no, because I am saying to you that the counter trafficking unit very first matter was a police officer. He was charged for trafficking 3 Colombian women. So I'm not saying that we have not had situations where police officers were intrinsically involved in the trafficking situation. But what I am saying in this matter, there was nothing of evidential value at the time of my investigation to prove that the person who she spoke of was a police officer.
Okay.
What are the parents in this situation? Because this is still a mine, and I haven't heard any conversation about the parents' involvement or lack thereof while this child is being trafficked and ended up in this scenario with this predator.
I'll say to you that a parallel investigation in relation to the parents in the matter was conducted, and this is why I'm coming out and I'm appealing to parents. Ask questions. Don't take anything for granted. Because I will say that the mother in this situation, she is still undergoing counseling in the matter, because she really at this point realized that she did not know or didn't have a clue of what was taking place in the household.
Wow. It's a lot. And of course, you will have no remit over the fact that the person got bail, was fitted with an ankle bracelet, and absconded.
No remit at all, Doctor. No remit at all.
We were laughing about a very serious situation, but
it is very serious.
It is indeed. It is indeed. But I'm very certain that with this conviction and the necessary things were done by the Director of Counter Trafficking Unit by sending out the red letter to Interpol and all our international partners, I believe that he'll be unearthed very soon.
Now, the news media reported this as the first conviction of a trafficked person in the country. Is that correct?
It is indeed.
That struck me as odd, given the number of reports we've had of now South American and Central American women allegedly being trafficked, brought to Trinidad and Tobago under false pretenses, and being forced to work in sex environments throughout the country for years. So is it that those have not provided the evidence to take people to the judicial system, or is it that they're under investigation?
So let's be clear, Dr. Richards. My conviction is one that speaks to the completion of the matter, the total completion. In a matter where somebody is charged, and I'm saying that the counter trafficking unit have charged a plethora of persons for trafficking in persons, both foreign nationals, locals, regional nationals. I'm saying that to you. What I am saying is that this matter form part of the judiciary's movement of trafficked cases through the court system. So I want to applaud the judiciary because this was a pilot project and it actually materialized. So a matter generally has to go through what we will call a preliminary inquiry process. So my matter was able to go through that process within a year. And save and accept because my accused at the time, Mr. Anthony Smith, he was not able to access bail. That's what I should say. He was not able to access bail. His bail at the time was $2 million. So because he was not out on bail and in custody, he was able to get his preliminary inquiry early within a year. He stayed in custody for about 5 years and some odd, and he then petitioned the court for his bail. So in this instance,
you're muted. You went muted for some reason.
Yeah.
You became muted for some reason. We're not hearing you anymore.
Yeah, you're muted. You went muted again. Not hearing you. Just unmute.
Yeah, she actually didn't touch anything, but it happened.
No, I didn't. She didn't touch anything. I don't know what happened there.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're muted.
Check it.
Check your microphone.
Right. Let's see if we can get her. You can try again, please.
Hello?
Yes. Right, there you are.
Go ahead.
Yeah, we're hearing you now.
Magic. Yes. So the process of the PI went ahead. And then, of course, we were ready for case management in the High Court. And I was ready to go. And this is why the minister in his press conference spoke about it. The fact that the police was ready, the victim was ready, and the judiciary was ready. So at that time, this matter went to trial. And of course, Trinidad and Tobago has now received their first conviction in human trafficking.
I think the point that you're making to Paul was that there are other cases in the system.
Definitely. I know for certain there are 2 other matters that are supposed to get the attention of the High Court very early in next year. I'm a witness in the 2 of them. So I'm very certain that we would have some more convictions moving forward as the judiciary has readied itself in having these matters fast-tracked, matters of human trafficking and sexual offenses in the judicial system.
But it's in fast-track, but you're saying he was in prison for 5 years. After the PI, not so.
In our context, that is fast track, Richard. Don't answer that.
I'm seeing Corporal Marshall's reluctance.
Is there anything you'd like to add in closing? And first of all, congratulations on your great work and the result of this. I mean, unfortunately, the man absconded, but that's not your fault. You did great work in this. And
you're obviously very passionate about it. And
indeed.
And that's that's to be complimented.
Are there males being trafficked also?
Of course, we have matters where where males have been trafficked. We also have a boy, regional, national, and then we had some regional, national men, but it was labor exploitation.
Okay. Thank you so much for being with us and adding your voice. We certainly would like to have you back on a regular basis because we love your passion about this. It's very important and very tremendous.
So I just want Trinidad and Tobago, if you see something, say something, no matter what the crime is.
All right.
Trinidad and Tobago's police service ready and willing to do what we need to do to get the country back on track.
Papa, you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much, Corporal Marshall. We appreciate your time and your contribution this morning.
Thank you.
All right.
Thanks,
that
Corporal
was
Marshall.
Corporal Dane Marie Marshall, who was very instrumental in securing the first trafficking conviction in Trinidad and Tobago recently. So when there's face lit up there.
Yeah, her family they have been ardent fans of the Power Breakfast Show. That's Charles Marshall's sister. You know?
Really?
Really?
Wow.
Okay. Yeah.
Didn't
The
know
Marshall
that.
family, very popular from the Sangre Grande area.
So anyway, I was going to say something because Charles is my friend, but I'll behave myself. You all have a great, wonderful day. Be careful on the roads. It's wet. See you tomorrow, God willing. Have a wonderful day.
Bacchanal, bubble, and bad behavior is on this weekend in San Fernando at Sapa. Saturday at 8:30, Sunday at 6:30. It's our final two shows of 2023. So theater comes to an end with these two shows in San Fernando at Sapa. Tickets are available at K Squared Fashion C3 Center and K Squared at Gulf City, Fens of Marabella by the Roundabout, and of course Creme Fresh at Brentwood Mall in Chagonas. The box office at Sapa opens today. From 12 noon to 6 p.m. You can get tickets at Sapa, including those of you who would have attended the Naparima Bowl show that we did in October 7th and 8th, where there was some problems because the AC wasn't working. So if you still have your stub from that performance, from any of those performance dates, you can attend the show at Sapa. We will just simply exchange the ticket to give you the opportunity to watch it in absolute comfort with AC that is working. So that's on part of the RSR production crew. So you can do that, but you'll have to go to the Sapa box office to achieve that. So tickets go on sale from the Sapa box office from 12 noon to 6 p.m. today and continuing throughout the week. We're so looking forward and excited. This is our final two performances. No, we're not coming back to Cipriani College. No, we're not coming back to Port of Spain. This is it. All right. Have a fantastic day, whatever you do. And remember to smile and laugh. It's great for your health.
All right, folks. Have a great one. Remember to let go and let God.